Hi there, my name is David Kenny. Welcome to our program, Light from Above. We're really glad that you can tune into the program with us. We're broadcasting from Wadsworth, Ohio today, and we're very privileged to have Ralph Brewer. Ralph Brewer is the Executive Director of Potter's Children's Home in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Ralph, we're really glad that you can be with us today.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Ralph was here speaking in an area men's meeting here not too long ago, and I thought it'd be good to bring him in. He could talk more about Potter's Children's Home. It is in Kentucky. That might seem like a long way away, but it's not. But they do a great work there. And Ralph, why don't you tell them a little bit about the history of Potter's? How long has Potter's Children's Home been around?
Well, it began as a children's home in 1914. We have a slide that shows that. It was originally Potter Bible College before that, but in 1914 they converted it into a children's home. It was then Potter Orphan Home and School, and so next year we're going to be 100 years old, which is somewhat rare for children's homes. But during that time we've served something over 7,000 children, and we just want to bring God and His Word to children who are underprivileged or who've not had much of a chance in life, and provide a Christian home-like environment for them.
Well, now tell me, how long have you been with Potter's Children's Home?
I've been there almost 20 years. In August it'll be 20 years. I've been working as the director for about 8 years or so.
And what brought you to Potter's Children's Home?
Well, I've always had an interest in working with children. But before coming to Potter, I had actually worked for about 9 years at another children's home. And I've had a variety of experiences even before that with children, working in summer camps, and in fact I was a principal of a private school for a while, and so I've always enjoyed working with children.
Now, maybe explain to our audience exactly, the children that you have in the facility. Where exactly do they come from?
Well, they're referred to us from both private and public sources. Although it's primarily private sources, they're placed there by whoever their legal guardian is. In some cases, social workers and others will guide them into our direction. We do not have a contract with the state of Kentucky for children who are in state custody. That's by our choice. But we generally will get them through churches and just through other people who know of young people who are in need.
Now, exactly how does the how does the children's home get its funding to be able to conduct this kind of operation?
Well, we are virtually 100% funded by individual members and congregations of the Churches of Christ. We're affiliated with the Churches of Christ. The Potters, Clinton and Mary Potter, who started the home, left the land in trust, and so they were members of the Church of Christ, and so we're virtually 100% supported by individual Christians and members of Churches of Christ. Now, there are others certainly who support us in a variety of ways, but predominantly it is that. And for that reason, and because it's a ministry of Christian people, we don't charge anything for any of our services, which is a little bit unusual today. We want it to be a ministry of the Lord's, and we want it to be one that gives Him glory. And so our board has determined that we're not going to charge anything for the services we provide. And so if all of our supporters decided suddenly one day that they weren't going to voluntarily support the ministry, then it would not be there.
So people have to be really dedicated to children, want to have to help children. So you got to have a passion to kind of do that thing. I know I spent a summer working for a mentally handicapped facility, and a lot of children were involved there. And just the joy of working with children that are mentally incapacitated in one way or another, it's very rewarding to be able to do that. So I imagine the dedication that yourself and that the people at the team there has to be very high, that you all want to do this, because there's other ways to make money, I'm sure.
It is. It's a very rewarding ministry, and we have a great staff who works hard, but of course it couldn't happen without God's grace and without the support of thousands of people who just voluntarily send money in on a regular basis.
I know the church there at Wadsworth, we have the coin banks where we collect money and try to do the commodity drives and to try to help out with the home. I know you have a lot of different arrangements. I've always been particularly intrigued by your Spark arrangement and all that. But for our audience, why don't you give them a rundown, an explanation, the different kind of arrangements that Potter's has to offer for children and single parents and things of that nature?
Okay, sure. Well, the core of the ministry is the on-campus foster care. This is an arrangement where children live there without their parents. This is a slide which shows one of the houses there and the people who live in it. And so that's the core of the ministry, that children who live there live with house parents or foster parents and live there 24 hours a day without parents of their own. The children can range in age from age 6 to 18 years old. Technically, once they become 18, once they turn 18, they no longer qualify for that. But if they're still in high school, we at least wait until they have graduated from high school. And so, but that's the age range for the on-campus foster care ministry. It's a family setting, and it allows the child to be supported while dealing with life issues. We have had children who have experienced all kinds of terrible things in life, all types of abuse, and been forced to be involved in a variety of things that it's really not very polite to talk about in public, to be honest with you. But we want them to function pretty much as much as possible as a normal family would. Each of the families have a van that they use, and they function in a pretty normal way. They attend school, go shopping, recreational activities, church services, and just do things as a normal family would do. We like for them to be very involved with the local church and to be involved in the activities that the youth are involved in there. And so they're very active and very involved with the local congregation there. The children there attend the public schools. In years past, we had a school on grounds, but we do not have an on-campus school presently. So the children who are there attend the public schools. So that's the on-campus foster care ministry. Next, we have the off-campus foster care ministry, and that is a ministry that is designed, like most people know, it serves children in a temporary family arrangement. Christian couples serve as foster parents. Counseling is offered to those children and their families. And so that's kind of a typical foster care situation there, where they live off campus. Then we have a single parent family ministry. And a lot of single parents in our society are under a great deal of emotional and financial strain and in need of significant assistance. And this is what you're referring to, the Single Parent Alliance for Raising Kids. We call it the Spark Ministry. And that helps with the problems such as this in our society. And unfortunately, there are more and more single parents in our society from year to year. And this helps provide us just a safe place, a nurturing environment for them to live while they get back on their feet. It's a goals-based ministry. They have to be working on goals. The ultimate goal is to become self-supporting. We are blessed in that we have Western Kentucky University in town there. We have a couple of vocational schools. And so the Spark Ministry allows the single parents the opportunity to return to school or learn a vocation of some kind. And we've had single parents who've completed degrees in a wide range of things: business administration, nursing, physical therapy, computers, respiratory therapy, auto mechanics, on and on, that they've completed degrees in and got to a point where they could support themselves and their families. The way this came about, we have a large dormitory on campus, and that was built in the 40s. And in the 40s, they built an on-ground school or they had an on-ground school, and the children lived in this dormitory, and it was a Little Orphan Annie sort of style dorm, and a matron would live on one wing and take care of the children down that wing. Well, laws and regulations changed, and you really can't do that anymore. And so they began to build houses on campus where the children could live in more of a family model. But that created somewhat of a problem for the board and the administration at that time. The question became, what are we going to do with this large dorm? We can't use it for the purpose for which it was built. And so what are we going to do? And that's when they got the single parent idea. They said, we can serve a lot of children who are in need by serving single parent families. And so they began to cut that dorm basically on the inside, cut it up into apartments. And so the single parents began living in those apartments in the dormitory. Now, since that time, we have begun to build some other buildings, and you see on the screen there the triplex. This is a triplex that we have for single parents. We need to eventually renovate that dormitory. It was built in 1945. It's construction from that time period. It's as solid as it can be, but it's block construction. It's not well insulated, and we need to eventually sort of renovate that building and put it to a little bit better use and a little bit more efficient use. But for now, we're beginning to try to build some of these other houses, these other dwellings for the single parents. And so we've built this triplex. And once we get enough other buildings built that we can move the single parents into, then we'll probably renovate that dormitory. The triplex that you saw there on the screen is one in which the concept is there's a mentor couple that lives. It's a retired Christian couple who lives in the middle apartment. And on each end, one of the single parents lives and they function and work on their goals. But this mentor couple is kind of an added quality component of the ministry, we think. We have single parents who work, we have a single parent supervisor who works with the single parents on their goals, helps them work on their financial goals and educational goals and all of those kinds of things. We have counseling that we provide to the single parents, and if their children are old enough, provide for their children. And so we have a number of support issues that we meet with the single parents. We also provide training for them in a wide variety of things, anything from parenting to financial issues to cooking, changing a flat tire on a car, applying for a job, just on and on with sort of life skills that we provide training for, in addition to the education that they're getting either at Western Kentucky or at one of the vocational schools there. But with all of the support staff that we have, this mentor couple provides a little bit more of a quality component. They are sort of a shoulder to cry on for the single parents who live next to them. They help provide rides. They help provide babysitting from time to time. They invite them over to supper. Since it's a retired couple, they are fairly flexible in their scheduling and in their time. And so the man will take the young children fishing. The man may fix the flat tire on the boy's bicycle, and just act as kind of a grandmother, grandfather, or aunt and uncle role, which many of these children do not have. And so it's a great opportunity for the single parents who are living there. And this triplex has really been a great thing for us. We completed that a few years back. I think it was in 2010. So that is, in a nutshell, kind of the single parent ministry. We also, though, have a transitional living ministry, and this is for children who are really legally adults, and they no longer technically really qualify for the foster care ministry. So this transitional living ministry serves children who are basically college age. The national statistics are that about 50% of those who don't get help at this time in their life end up living on the streets or in prison. Most young people today who turn 18 are just not in a position to support themselves. Years and years ago, when we were more of an agricultural society, a 14-year-old boy could probably just about run the farm and effectively support himself. But these days, the average 18-year-old just cannot support himself. And so we don't say, okay, you're 18 years old, see you later. We try to find a mentoring family that these young people can move in with to help provide some degree of support to them and to help them make the transition really into adulthood.
Now, as I was listening to you talk about the different situations, the spark and the transitional living and all that, it seems like the emphasis is there to try to rebuild a pattern where you have basically the ideal situation is you have a mother and a father, child, and you have grandparents. But though that situation's been disrupted.
Right.
And a lot of people in our society today they think that they can just pick and choose whatever kind of family arrangement they want. But from your experience, is there any improving upon God's plan for the home, which is a mother and a father with the children, committed to one another and providing for that child? There is no better arrangement for a child than that, is there?
No, I think biblically and certainly in my opinion, that is what God desires. That's the ideal thing, and that is what works best for any culture, any society, to have a mother and a father. And there have been a number of studies that have been done about the effects of a variety of different situations. Unfortunately, and truthfully, due to the irresponsibility of a good number of men in our society, there are more and more single moms, especially, who are not in a position to support their children. And so this ministry helps give them an opportunity. It's an opportunity for them to get on their feet and support their children. Now, I should say that just as in any endeavor, everyone is not what you would consider a success. We have a tremendous number of single parents who come our way, many of which become Christians, and they do very well and they move on. But from time to time, there are some who come and they may do well initially, but then begin to falter. And although we're very full of patience and grace, there does come a point where we say to them, it looks like you're not really following through on the things that you said you would do when you came here. There's a screening process, and there's really a contract that they sign that says they will abide. They will attend counseling sessions. They'll attend classes. They will attend church on a regular basis. They've got a curfew. They can't be involved in drugs and alcohol. There's a number of things that are required of them, and there are times when it gets to the point where we say to them, I'm sorry, but it looks like you're not really willing to follow through on what you agreed to do, and so we're going to have to ask you to look for someplace else to live. And that's hard, especially when children are involved.
Sure.
But the truth is, if we're not ultimately at some point willing to do that, then really all of our standards fall. Mm-hmm. We really don't have an effective ministry, and I'm not even sure we have what would be described accurately as a Christian ministry, because everyone begins doing whatever they want and ignoring what's expected of them.
And plus, you only have limited resources that would prohibit you from helping those who might otherwise have a better chance of doing it.
Right.
Ralph, why don't you give them an idea of just what is the status in America? How serious is this kind of challenge for our country today with children?
Well, the statistics are not good. We have a chart that shows this here that shows many of the statistics. Now, statistics like this are hard to get within the last year or two. But you can see the statistics there, the number of children who are victims of substantiated abuse in 2010, the children who died because of child abuse in 2010. In 2009, there were 11.5 million single mothers and 2.2 million single fathers, raising 26% of the children under 21. I believe that number has grown now to somewhere around 30% or so. And then in 2009, 40% of the children raised in single-parent families lived in poverty. And so the statistics are not good. In fact, we have another chart here that shows a pretty alarming number. This is the number of child deaths per day in America due to child abuse and neglect. And you can see that the trend is not good. It goes up and down a little bit, but certainly the trend is up, and that's not a good trend. In 1998, there were a little over 3 children in our country who died each year from abuse or neglect, whereas in 2010, it had reached a little bit over 5%. And so the statistics are not good, and especially statistics for single-parent families are not good. Someone can do a search on the internet and find statistics for single-parent families, and they are not good. It's not a good situation for many single-parent children in our country.
Well, I know that Potter's Children's Home has had, with any organization you have successes and you have occasional failures and all that. But some people think that, once a child has been damaged, there's no hope for that child, and that's just not the case. There are caring people out there who are willing to intervene and take a part in a child's life to help them get back on more solid ground. And one of the things that Ralph has brought in is some pictures from some of their open house. Why don't you explain to them about the open house and let them see some of these pictures of some of these kids?
Okay, yeah, we have a few slides. The third Saturday of every September, we have kind of an open house. Now, we have people who come through and we give them tours all the time. There's hardly a week goes by that we don't give people tours. But here are some slides from the activities in one of our open houses. We have tours on campus. We have an auction that goes on. We have all kinds of children activities. This is a slide of a man with a wagon and a mule, a team pulling the wagon, so the kids enjoy that. We have these air-inflated games that the children participate in and enjoy. This is a picture of the auction. We're tremendously blessed. Many local businesses will donate items for our auction each year, and then we have an auction. This is a slide of a couple of our board members who are there. Our board is a great board, and they do a lot for the home. And this was a picture of a couple of them at our fall festival from a few years ago. And so there's a lot of things going on, and a good opportunity for people to just see what goes on in the ministry there and be there whenever we'd like for them to be there whenever they can. We love to have visitors.
Well, great. Now, Ralph, if people wanted to learn more about Potter's Children's Home, I'm sure you have a website. Is that the best way to find out more information about the home?
Yeah, it probably is. PotterMinistries.org is the best way probably to find, because all of our other contact information is on there. We have plans for the future as well. A number of things that are happening. In fact, next week we're breaking ground on a new building for more single-parent families, and this is a diagram of that. But if someone wants more information, they can go to our website and ask any questions that they want about what's going on. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, David.
Well, we're glad you can come up and speak to a group of preachers here and appear on the show and explain to people here in town and abroad more about these kinds of works. It's so important. We talk, abortion is a big heated debate right now. And a lot of times people, one of the arguments that people throw out, and they say, well, who's going to care for these kids? And some people don't realize that there are organizations out there that are willing to help these children. And I know that Potter has done that for quite a while. So we very much appreciate you coming in and explaining to us about this great organization.
Well, thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for watching our program today, and be sure to tune in next time for Light from Above. Thanks for watching. A moment and review this roadmap to heaven with you, since the matter is so serious. There are many incorrect set of directions out there, and sadly so many people are following them. For example, some people have been given wrong turns. They believe things such as faith only, works only, or grace only. Or some attempt to change the order of the turns, being baptized before they even believe. Some people fail to realize what point they are on the map. Don't even open their Bibles yet, and they think they're saved already. As a person travels in a car or takes a hike, it has to follow the proper directions, so we must follow the proper directions to heaven. Let's take a look at the directions on our roadmap to heaven here. You have to look at these passages in your Bible for yourself. We'll just list the steps, the turns on the way. First is to believe or to have faith. And then number 2, to repent, to turn away from sin. Number 3 is to confess that Jesus is the Son of God. Number 4 is immersion, or to be baptized, which is a burial in water to have your sins washed away. And then you're added to the church by the Lord, not by a group of people, or not by giving some kind of testimonial experience or things like that. And then once you're added, you need to serve and worship the Lord faithfully all the days of your life. And the key word's faithfully. You don't waver. And that's very important. We need to keep in mind, too, that in Noah's day there was a big flood, and only people in the ark were saved from the flood. The same is true today. There is no salvation outside the Lord's church. Where are you on the roadmap to heaven? Thanks for watching our program. Please let us know if we can assist you with further information for your journey.